Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell. You'll get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And when I'm not asking Bruce, hey, how big was Batista's? Well, you know. One of the things I like to do is help people save money. And if you're watching this video right now and you're in a 30-year loan, man, you're overpaying your single biggest bill and you may not even realize it. I want you to do a little experiment for me. Take your calculator out, multiply your monthly house payment by 360 payments. That's how many payments there are on a 30-year loan. That big scary number, that's your total of payments. You're looking at that number? You know you can do better. Keep more of your own money right now and go to savewithconrad.com. Or maybe you've got credit card debt. Man, it's not a matter of if I can save you money with that. Your average interest rate on a credit card is more than 20%. And by the way, all the interest you pay on those credit cards, it's not tax deductible. Whereas the mortgage interest, well, that is tax deductible. So if you owe this debt, it's up to you how to pay it back. Doesn't it make sense to get the cheapest rate possible and the greatest tax deduction possible? Find out how much money you can save right now for free at savewithconrad.com. You don't need perfect credit. Even scores in the 500s can be approved, and it's no cost out of pocket. But maybe best of all, we're licensed in more than 40 states. We can help more families than ever before. But how much can we save you? Find out right now for free with a quick quote from savewithconrad.com.
Well, he won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck. He's a real athlete, so give him your respect. He's got intensity, integrity, intelligence too. Oh, it's true, it's damn true. So if he ever finds you and you're chanting you suck, then he'll douse you in dairy with his big milk truck. And with one angle slam, he'll lay you out on the floor. So listen up, it's time to go. It's the Kurt Angle Show.
Hey, this is Kurt Angle, and welcome to the Kurt Angle Show. On the show today, we'll be covering WrestleMania 18, the night I wrestled the Big Red Machine Kane at the grandest stage of them all. But first, let me introduce to you my co-host, Paul Bromwell. How you doing today, Paul?
Hey, Kurt, I'm doing great, man. And I tell you what, the feedback on the interview with Chris Jericho has been tremendous. Are you seeing the same thing? It's all over social media, lots of fun clips. What have you seen?
Yeah, pretty much went viral, I thought. Chris was a great guest. He was my favorite episode so far. And what he's done in the business this late in his career is nothing short of amazing.
Dude, I could have talked to him for hours. Now, he was on a tight time frame, and you and I, a peek behind the curtain, had several more questions that we wanted to ask him, but we were texting like,
fill it in. Chris
he's got to go.
He's give it up. Yeah, he had to go.
But he's such a great conversationalist that we could have just spent another hour or two with him.
He has the gift of gab, definitely.
And it was so good, though. And listen, the way that, you put him over at the end saying he's your number one, that was so special to him. You could see that in his face. So I just thought, like you said, it was the best one that I've been a part of for sure. It was great.
Me too. I agree with you.
Well, listen, Kurt, today, speaking of greatness, we're going to cover a WrestleMania event. It's WrestleMania season, and we're talking all things WrestleMania 18 from the Toronto Sky Dome and how you ended up wrestling Kane. But let's talk about how we got there. And we discussed, you and I, not too long ago, No Way Out 2002. And if you haven't checked that out, make sure you dig in the Kurt Angle Show archives and listen to this. But you defeated Triple H to become the number one contender for the WWF title. And you're theoretically scheduled to take on our guest last week, Chris Jericho. But also at that show, the NWO returns to the WWF. And Kurt, I know you saw it this week, but we lost Scott Hall this week.
Yeah, Scott was a great guy. I absolutely loved him. He was very talented, one of the most talented in-ring performers of all time. He had his demons, but he was fighting through them. He's a really good guy, and we're going to sorely miss him.
We are, Kurt, and at your request, you asked if we here at the Kurt Angle Show could do a 10-second tribute to Scott. So we're going to do a 10-second moment of silence, and then we'll pick up with the show. All right. Well, Scott Hall, may you rest in peace. And we're certainly going to miss you. And that's been the sentiment online. Everyone is talking about the impact on Scott Hall. And there's a lot of excitement around this time, though, back then, 20 years ago, about the opportunity of the NWO coming in, being back together again with Kevin Nash, with Hulk Hogan, and Scott Hall all together. Were you excited about the opportunity to potentially wrestle members of the NWO in the future?
Oh, of course. They were all legends. You know, what they did in the business in the 80s and 90s is nothing short of incredible. Hulk Hogan, I didn't follow wrestling when I was a kid, and I knew who Hulk Hogan was. Everybody knew. He was a household name. So I wanted to wrestle Hulk Hogan. He's one of the guys that inspired, from my friends, from my friend's standpoint, Hulk Hogan was the man. So when I finally wrestled him, they were going crazy. They couldn't believe, Kurt Angle was wrestling Hulk Hogan when they were watching him in the 1980s and thinking this is crazy. But, wanting to wrestle Hulk Hogan was definitely on my list. And Kevin and Scott. I mean, I knew Scott was a great in-ring performer, and Kevin too. Kevin had some knee issues, but for the most part, he was pretty damn good too.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, you're right. In the 80s, it was Hulkamania running wild, brother. Everybody knew Hulk Hogan. He was so mainstream. Saturday night's main event, Hogan, Andre. And so absolutely makes sense. You didn't watch wrestling, but everybody knew who Hulk Hogan was. He was truly an icon, so that makes a lot of sense. Kurt, did you know what the original plan was here at WrestleMania at this point? The rumor is that you could be the backup plan for Austin if things between him and Scott Hall didn't work out.
Well, I found out from you that the backup plan was against Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I do understand why they wanted to do that. I mean, Scott Hall had some demons, and they were a little bit nervous that he might come back and do something crazy, but Scott seemed to have his shit together, so I don't think that would be a problem. But no, I didn't know if I was going to have a match at WrestleMania. Up until No Way Out, they didn't tell me anything. And the amount of main events I did that past year, I thought I deserved a pretty good feature match at WrestleMania. And to this point, a month before WrestleMania, they didn't have anything for me.
Which is crazy to think. I mean, you're in the mix for the undisputed title, at this point. So there's also a lot of talk of the brand split's going to be coming up after WrestleMania. Are you talking to them? Hey guys, what brand am I going to end up on? Did you have a preference, according to travel schedule, Raw or SmackDown at this point?
You know what? I didn't have a preference. I knew Raw was the flagship show. SmackDown was coming on pretty strongly though. So it didn't matter to me either one. As long as I was on one of the brands, I was cool.
That's good. Now, is this something that Vince or the office would talk to you about or consult with you about? Or is this something, hey, you're just told still at this point, this is where you're going, Kurt?
Okay, what I was told from the writers was that I was going to be drafted in the second round for SmackDown behind The Rock. Rock would be the first round draft pick, which isn't too shabby at this early stage of my career. So to be second to The Rock is not a bad thing.
No, not at all. And my goodness, one of the questions that I had for you was, and it actually came up a little bit in Chris Jericho's interview, because he was saying, Kurt, you were always willing to do whatever was asked of you. But do you think that hurt you at all? And when I ask you that, I mean, in terms of if you were a stronger political player, do you think your standing at Mania might have been in a better spot? You've often said you're not one to play politics in your wrestling career, but you can see the politics up and down on this eventual card.
I believe so. I probably should have spoken up. A lot of guys did. It wasn't my style, but at this point in time, I probably should have said something. I probably should have came up with ideas and pitched them to creative and tried to get in that way at least, because they didn't have any plans for me. And unfortunately at WrestleMania, they're not always going to have plans for everybody. There are only a certain amount of spots, but my standing in the company, I was one of the top guys. I really thought I'd have a huge program set up for WrestleMania, and I didn't.
Hey, folks, it's time to take your podcast game to the next level. And you certainly want to get your almighty push. My God, we have to have a push, right? We'll get that over to adfreeshows.com. Now, I'm telling you, if you're a fan of Grilling JR, adfreeshows.com has the entire episode library, and it's got no ads. 0 ads, zilch, none. Ad-free and on video starting at just $9. Did you hear what I said? $9. You spend more than that at Starbucks, for God's sakes. 2 mornings. But that's not all, folks. We got tons of bonus content. including my after-hours roundtable, where drinking was involved with Eric and Tony. You simply will not find a better value in all of wrestling. Hey, look, don't make me go red ass, because by God, you know I will. Hurry over to adfreeshows.com right now and sign up. And I thank you.
Well, Kurt, let's move the storyline along. It's the night after No Way Out. It's in Chicago. It's an all-time classic Raw. If you guys haven't checked it out, check it out. The show opens with Austin sitting in the ring, and he's calling out the NWO when the music hits, and it's none other than our Olympic gold hero. Let's check it out.
I think it's obvious they're not coming out here
in 2 hours, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you.
Well, this certainly is not the NWO, but it's a man who's going to WrestleMania as the #1 contender for the WWF Undisputed title. And thanks to Stephanie McMahon shady officiating, Kurt Angle defeated Triple H at No Way Out. And the proud man and Kurt Angle know how much they respect him right now. Angle, a world-class athlete, no doubt about that, but man.
Austin, what is your problem? Call me crazy, but if someone's going to take up valuable airtime, it should be someone that maybe, I don't know, is going for a title at WrestleMania.
That cuts deep, Austin.
Don't do it again.
Austin threw a beer, look out! Hey, that's dangerous!
Hold on a second, Austin. No, I understand you have a gripe, but the fact is, last night, you blew it.
Well, the NWO
It's my time now. And if there's one thing I can't stand, it's a crybaby. That's why I have these gentlemen here with me tonight. Compliments of Mr. McMahon, private security. And although Mr. McMahon isn't here tonight, he's here in spirit. Oh, it's true. And before you throw another beer, Austin, I just want to tell you, not only... Austin, do you want to strike an off-duty cop? Because that's what they are. You do it again, and you're going to jail.
Uh-oh. There you go.
Hold on a second.
That could be like assault and battery if he hits somebody with a beer. Look out! Look out! You can put an eye out. Angle surrounded.
Austin, I am not kidding. These are off-duty cops. So for once in your life, come here, guys. Stop it right now.
There you go.
For once in your life, do what's right. You get out of that ring so I can make my announcement. I, Kurt Angle, hereby having beaten Triple H in No Way Out, for the record, will go to WrestleMania and become the undisputed champion, because if anyone deserves it, it's me.
Oh, it's true. Yo, Austin taking down Angle. Austin taking down Angle. And here come those off-duty cops. Macy. Austin just hit a police officer. Austin just hit a police officer. Macy.
Austin,
Armstrong.
you're finished. You're finished, Austin. You're going to jail.
Yeah,
I told you you're off-duty cops. You were going to jail. And I'm going to WrestleMania.
And that's exactly what happened. Austin went to jail. At least that part of it happened. And you did go to WrestleMania, but it wasn't for the Undisputed Championship. So this is what
I didn't.
No, but this is what Dave Meltzer said. Angle cuts a promo, and Austin started throwing beer cans at him from the ring to the stage entrance. My God, Kurt, that guy could throw some beer. He chucked it and almost hit you guys.
Yeah.
He said during this interview, they brought up that Vince wasn't there. Angle came down to the ring after Austin kept throwing beer cans at him. Austin attacked Angle, and then the cops came in. Austin punched one of them, but they swarmed him, handcuffed him, and took him out. So there it is, man. Austin is out. He's out of the building. He's gone. He's arrested. That had to be a fun segment for you.
It was fun, but it was kind of scary getting those beer cans thrown at you. They were full, and Austin was chucking them pretty hard. The thing with Stone Cold, you don't know what he's going to do. He improvises all the time. He's an amazing guy. He thinks of stuff at the last second that's so entertaining. One of the most entertaining guys I've ever been in a ring with.
Well, the story doesn't stop there, as they say, Kurt. It continues on that evening. And here we go. It's you, Stephanie, and the Nature Boy interrupts. Let's check it out.
Come in. Hey, Kurt. How are you?
I am fabulous.
Good, you got my message.
Yes.
Listen, I wanted to call you in here, not only to congratulate you on having Stone Cold Steve Austin arrested and ejected from the building.
Well, he deserved it.
He did. But for defeating my soon-to-be ex-husband last night at No Way Out.
Steph, I am going to WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah!
Yeah.
Woo! And Triple H will never, ever get a title shot.
No, he won't. And Steph, last night, I thought you did a tremendous job as the guest referee. I mean, under the circumstances, you're out there with your ex-husband after what he did to you, and you were fair and impartial. And that's important to me.
You know, Kurt, I couldn't have been fair and impartial if it weren't for you defeating Triple H. I mean, clean with that angle slam right in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. Woo!
Aren't you two the deal? The gold medal winner, my son's hero, and the princess. If you two aren't the hottest topic of conversation
What do you want, Flair?
in the WWF, I just want to tell you again that last night, the genius of your father was never more apparent. Making that match at No Way Out, they gave you the title shot at WrestleMania with Jericho, was absolute genius. I woke up today so inspired that I said to myself, what can I do? Well, I can make the same match again tonight.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about you wrestling Triple H, the winner, to go to WrestleMania against Jericho.
Kurt already has a title shot.
I already had the match last night.
That's completely unfair.
No.
That's unfair.
What is fair is that that match will take place tonight. The winner to go to WrestleMania, and if you get involved in any way, shape, or form, Triple H automatically gets the shot at WrestleMania against Jericho. That's
You
fair.
can't do that!
Woo!
You can't do that, Flair!
You gotta be kidding me.
So there it is. We're getting another rematch. What do you think of that? Another rematch.
Another rematch. It's
The
like
same match
over
from the
and
night
over and over.
before. Yeah. Stipulation.
Change the rules all the time.
Stipulation back on the line. Same thing we just saw on pay-per-view. Now here we go. We're going to see it on Raw. Unbelievable. Well, listen, that's all set up now. So here comes Hunter. He's going to get his return shot again. And you had to have fun, though, working with Stephanie and Ric Flair.
Stephanie was great. She proved that she was a player when I did the love triangle with her and Triple H. And she's a lot of fun to work with. And Ric Flair, he's freaking crazy. You don't know what's going to come out of his mouth. I mean, he just he just says whatever he wants, and it works. He's awesome.
Listen, dude, Stephanie McMahon, first of all, back in this time frame, I had a massive crush on her. So we'll get that out of the way. So I still do. Yeah, right. So that secondly, she's so good. She's so good that I can't imagine. I would love to see her still doing something, maybe as a manager, a heel manager with somebody. She's just so good on the mic, could draw so much heat, but she was so talented and skilled. She's a McMahon, but man, she definitely had so much Vince in her.
Yeah, you know what? She's such a nice girl, but on TV, she's such a mean bitch. It's crazy. It really is.
So well.
She knows how to turn it around. It's awesome. Yeah.
Well, this is also the Raw episode where the NWO attack The Rock, and they lock him in an ambulance. They hit him with a Mack truck. I mean, they're destroying him. And then you're given an interview segment right after that, right after this mutilation of The Rock. And Michael Cole wants to hear what you have to say about it. And this is what you say, Kurt.
Kurt, after what's happened tonight, are you going to be able to concentrate on your match?
I don't know, Michael. I mean, you saw it earlier. That's the worst news of the year. It's shocking to see that. I mean, Ric Flair making this match tonight after I beat Triple H last night. give me a break. And to ban Stephanie from ringside. I mean, that's not right. You saw it.
Kurt, I was talking about The Rock.
Oh, well, yeah, I feel bad. I feel horrible for The Rock. But at least he didn't have a title shot at WrestleMania. I did. Well, you know what? I'm gonna make this right. I'm gonna beat Triple H tonight, and I'm gonna end this on a good note. This night is gonna end on a good note. And I'm going to WrestleMania with that title shot. Oh, it's true.
Okay, so let's listen to Jim Ross, what he has to say about you after this. Here we go.
Selfish, self-centered.
Okay, JR.
So he calls you a self-centered, egotistical son of a bitch. And okay, so he paused it there. So that was hilarious. But now we're going to transition into the ending of this match, and I'll read little Meltzer notes before we watch it together. He said, Angle did a funny interview where he was asked about the tragic situation. He talked about how tragic it was, but he was talking about having to defend his title shot, not The Rock. Pretty well done, according to Meltzer. And so we get on to the match here, so let's check out the ending of that, and then we'll talk about what else he has to say here.
In his hands here.
By all rights, that mealy-mouthed whiner Triple H should be out of this match, but he's holding on. Why, JR? Because he wants to face the undisputed champion, that's why!
Yeah, talking about whining.
Straps are off, baby.
I'm not whining.
Look, there's Mike Chioda, referee Mike Chioda in the ring.
It's about to be over. The game has been incapacitated, and now maybe this academic gets over.
Stop his ankle.
The game he can quit, he can tap out,
Well,
and not go to
Come on,
WrestleMania.
Triple H, Angle versus Jericho.
Stephanie must be loving this. You can go to WrestleMania on crutches, Triple H.
He's starting to call on the road. He's got to reach the bottom rope.
Break his ankle on the principle of the whole thing.
Can't get to WrestleMania. He lunges toward WrestleMania. He lunges toward the championship. He saved himself in the game.
Yeah, but now he's a one-legged man.
This is unbelievable. Like I said, this is a 5-star match.
Oh, look at no! Angle, he relaxed 1 second, and he paid for it there. The game saw Angle coming in. Angle's head bouncing off the turnbuckle, and the game limping. On one leg, King, they're going to get it done. Wait a minute.
Look at this.
Again. Oh! An Angle counter.
Reversal.
The front toe. Again into the ankle lock. In the center of the ring.
Boy, that's the Olympic champion.
The game, my God. He countered Angle's ankle lock.
Where'd he get the strength to do that?
Again downstairs.
Looking for the pedigree.
He's looking. No! The pedigree. Wait a pedigree. Hold it. It's over. The game's going to WrestleMania. Finally, something fair happened.
Mr. Main Event, can you believe what you just seen?
So Y2J, the undisputed champion, and the game have a date, March 17th, Skydome, WrestleMania, for the biggest prize in our business, the undisputed title. Triple H has prevailed. The game wants the gold at WrestleMania.
Jim Ross just losing his mind there, and there it is. All the Kurt Angle fans are now sad because we don't get Kurt Angle going for the undisputed title anymore.
WrestleMania.
No. Now we got to figure out what the hell are we going to do with Kurt.
Last second, we don't have much time.
Meltzer said, listen, he said, Triple H pinned Angle in 12 minutes, 1 second with a pedigree. Excellent match. The match blew away their pay-per-view match and was easily Triple H's best TV match since coming back, although it still seemed most of it was due to Angle. Wow, he put you over big time here. Particularly
good.
Yes. I love it. He said, particularly in the early minutes, Angle was awesome. Angle had him pinned with a belt shot, but the ref was slow getting there because he was arguing with Jericho. Rolling back suplexes by Angle and a rope break. Jericho half seriously was putting the match over, saying it was 5 stars. We heard it in that clip. Triple H did a cool reversal out of the ankle lock and hit the finisher. Do you, Kurt, think this was better than the No Way Out match?
Oh, yeah. And the reason is we didn't have all the bells and whistles. We didn't have a special guest referee and referee bumps and low blows. You know, you put Triple H and Kurt Angle in a ring in a squared circle, they're going to have a 5-star match. You start adding stuff, you're going to make it more complicated.
No, I mean, I think you said it in your answer there. It sounds like it's easier in a normal setting than having Stephanie as the referee and all this other bells and whistles added in. And you guys certainly delivered that night on Raw. And Jim Ross, just when I hear him and the classic calls of that era, he truly is the voice of wrestling, brother.
He was the best. He still is. He's the best of all time.
Add so much energy and excitement to the matches. So good. So we move on. The next night, it's in Rockford, and you shoot the angle to set up you versus Kane at WrestleMania. Did you feel, Kurt, like this was a letdown considering what you had done in the last year?
Yeah, I had an incredible year. I beat Stone Cold Steve Austin for the World Heavyweight Championship. I main evented a lot of shows, almost every show. So that, not having a match and setting it up at the last second with Kane, it wasn't Kane that was the problem. It was the problem. The program was the problem. There wasn't anything to it. It was nothing of substance.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Wrestling Kane, and you said it is a big deal considering his stature in the company. But you go from Stone Cold Steve Austin on a big pay-per-view main events that you've worked with him, being a world champion, to being slotted way far down the card. The story always was your year was made by what you did at Mania paycheck-wise. That's always the story. And is that a worry for you on your end coming into this WrestleMania?
Well, yes. I had a really great year, and I got paid very well all year long. My WrestleMania paycheck that year wasn't that great. It was good, but it wasn't that great. But if it determined the year I had, it didn't compare. I had a much better year than the payment I got at WrestleMania.
Well, Angle, we got to figure out a way. Well, I should say they got to figure out a way to now kickstart you and Kane. How do we get that all started? And they did it on SmackDown, and we're going to take you to a clip of that to show how they got this rivalry set up and started for the WrestleMania match. Here we go.
So here's how it's gonna be. I'm gonna stand right here in the middle of this ring all night if I have to, until somebody back there is stupid enough to come out here and face me in a match.
Austin-esque, isn't it?
So I can show him the definition of pain. The kind of pain only an Olympic gold medalist is capable of giving. So let's go. If you got the guts, come out here and face me right now.
An open challenge from Angle.
So I can go Olympic on your
Love that.
Make me come back there.
Wait a minute. Kurt. I want to reconsider. It's Kane. No. The big red machine. A beeline in the ring. And look at the look on Kurt Angle's face. Well, what about it? Looks like he's about to go Olympic on Kane. And Kurt Angle going after Kane and King. There's no referee out here. This isn't a wrestling match. Oh, there's a referee. Well, now the referee's in here, but Kurt Angle taking it to here. Kane had enough of Kurt Angle. Here, and Kane with a big hammer. Oh, low blow by Angle. A low blow by Kurt Angle to Kane. Yourself there, Michael. You're in a bad spot. Oh no. Look at how that's not suplex through the table. Angle could have broken Kane's back. Oh my gosh, he may have broken his back. Did you hear that sickening thud? Holy Kurt, that's enough. No more, not another one. Look out. No, German suplex. Oh my gosh. Through the crushed announce table. Kane's body bouncing off the table king. Have you ever seen this kind of... Wait a minute. Oh, look at Kurt. Somebody get out. Somebody's got to do something with the referee. Nobody has ever dominated Kane like Kurt Angle has done here, King. Kurt, calm down, Kurt. The look in the eyes of Kurt Angle. He's falling at the mouth. Gotta get out of the way, Michael. He's been promoted. Look at that. How's he doing? We're going Olympic on anybody. The timekeeper.
Oh, my God.
Suplex by Kurt Angle. A heinous act by Angle. Angle is snapped. That was totally uncalled for. Kurt. I'm not saying anything. Oh, Angle with a chair to the ankle. And again, that steel chair to the ankle of Kane. He's gonna break Kane's ankle. Look at him fit the chair. Look out.
ankle of Kane. Kane is writhing in pain.
He's going to cripple Kane. He's going to cripple that big red machine. Somebody needs to get out here and do something.
Kane is tapping, desperately trying to float out of the ankle lock. Kurt Angle is trying to snap the ankle of Kane.
Well, I think we started something there, Kurt. What do you think?
Well, what I think is I hit him in the ankle way too many times with the chair. Like Kane shouldn't be able to walk ever again after that.
You were
I
beating
think
the
one
shit.
chair shot would have been good with an ankle lock, but I was told to hit him several times, and I think it was overkill.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. In the next episode, he should have come out on crutches and everything else, the way that you beat the hell out of his ankle. You took out the timekeeper.
Oh, that was awesome. That was a spot that Vince wanted me to do. I'm not sure why. The guy must have pissed off Vince in some way.
Well, it just goes to show you are a pit bull at this point, and you go. But I guess, you know, hey, listen, this is let's shoot a basic angle to kickstart a match and start us to WrestleMania. You sitting in the ring, hey, I'm welcoming anybody to come down here and face my ass. Bring it. I'm ready to kill you. And then here comes Kane, and we're off and running.
It's as basic as it gets. This is as basic as this is as simple as you can possibly get. Setting up a program like this, not a lot of thought behind it.
But it worked. Hey, you know, it worked for then, I guess, especially coming off of what all you guys were doing and all the changes they made with the last second with the Undisputed title. What did Kane think about all this? What did he think about you two being put together?
Oh, gosh. Kane would never complain about anything. I don't know if you noticed, but he's the nicest guy in the world. He's never talked badly about another person. I don't think ever. Kane's just a really good guy, and he would never get involved in stuff like that.
So another guy that's just not political. I'm here to help and do what's right
Less
for the business.
political than me. Yes.
Yeah. He's not political in wrestling, very political outside of wrestling because he is in politics.
He's a mayor. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Well, we're off and running, and now we're setting up Kane and Kurt Angle. The next week on Raw, it's Jericho and Stephanie. They make their way to the ring when Triple H comes out to talk about their WrestleMania match. But you decide you're going to interrupt the party with some major news of your own. Let's check this one out, Kurt.
Out of convenience, because the one thing that they both have in common is that neither want Triple H to ever become the World Wrestling Federation champion again. Wow. And the game gets that opportunity at WrestleMania.
You know the old saying, JR? There's a very, very thin line between love and hate. Here's our undisputed champion.
Two of the biggest egos I've ever heard.
What is that? Has that person ejected? Look at Stephanie. There, you can tell that there's true feelings there now. So
I'm sorry, did I interrupt something?
I'm glad you're out here.
In case you forgot, you're not the ones that make the decisions around here. Mr. McMahon does. And guess what Mr. McMahon just told me over the telephone? Well, since I was robbed of my WrestleMania title shot last week, you remember Triple H, don't you? Well, tonight Mr. McMahon says that he's gonna make it up to me. So tonight, I will face Chris Jericho one-on-one for the WWF title.
Oh my God! What? Can you believe that one? Jericho and Angle for the WWF title.
After I beat Chris Jericho, I will be more than happy to make you my business partner when I face your soon-to-be ex-husband at WrestleMania. Oh, it's true.
Unbelievable, Joe. Well, Stephanie doesn't have to work. She can't lose either way, but look at Y2J. He can't believe what Mr. McMahon's done tonight.
I can't believe it either. Later tonight, live, right here on Raw, it's going to be Chris Jericho defending the undisputed title against Kurt Angle.
Now, oh, look out!
On the game.
What's he doing?
The game getting some of Chris Jericho.
What's it?
Throwing Jericho out like he was yesterday's garbage.
So there it is. Now you're back against Jericho and getting a title shot against him for the undisputed title. This seems odd to be wrestling another heel for the world title, doesn't it?
Yeah, but they wanted Chris to get a solid win before WrestleMania. So as champion, Chris didn't get a lot of wins underneath his belt, and they wanted him to get a pretty solid win. And none other than your Olympic hero who's been doing jobs left and right before WrestleMania. So, I was the utility guy. I was the guy they were going to use to make everybody look good. And you know what? It's not a bad thing, especially if you don't have anything booked at WrestleMania like I did. So, you're still involved in main events, just other people's storylines.
And they did figure out a way to weave in Kane so they could keep that moving forward. And I'll read the Meltzer report here on the match. Jericho beat Angle in 9 minutes, 5 seconds to keep the title. We all know that happened. Crowd was dead for this. Fans didn't want to cheer for either guy. You're both heels. A little sloppy at first, but turned into a really good match. Ironically, it was submission wrestling and rope breaks that got the crowd into the match and turned it around. After a ref bump, Jericho threw his belts and the ring bell in. Angle used a belt shot for a near fall. He did the ankle lock, but Jericho did an enziguri to break it. Kane came out of the crowd and attacked Angle. Here we go. Kane threw him into the ring, and Jericho got the pin with the breakdown. Kane attacked Angle. Kane gave the ring steps a vicious chair shot. Kurt, I don't know, man. It kind of feels like you're putting everyone over at this point to help build the main event, but not really yourself. Is that how you're feeling?
Yeah. And I understand why. You have a lot of programs going on, and especially with Triple H and Jericho, you didn't want them to face each other until WrestleMania. So somebody had to get in the middle and kind of be the buffer. And that was me.
You certainly were the buffer for sure. Now, listen, there's a little drama that happens backstage. I'm hoping that your ear was out for this one because we all love to hear the dirt. From The Observer, there was a backstage shouting match after Raw on February 25th involving Jericho, Triple H, and referee Brian Hebner. Jericho was apparently mad at Hebner for screwing up the finish of the Angle match. Triple H then stuck up for Hebner and blamed the screwed up finish on Jericho and tried to get the others involved to get heat on Jericho. Are you around for this? Do you remember what the screw up was?
No, I heard about the fight, and I heard it was pretty intense. But, I'm really surprised. I don't remember Brian screwing up. Brian Hebner was as perfect a referee as you could actually get. He never made mistakes. He had his shit together. He actually knew the whole match, every single part of the match, every match. He wanted to know everything from beginning to end. He didn't just want to know what the false counts were and what the pinfall was. He wanted to know the whole story of the match and everything that we were doing. So Brian, very seldom did he ever mess up.
All right, interesting stuff going on there. Speaking of which, the next night on SmackDown in Boston, the main event is Triple H and Kane taking on you and Jericho, which we often see booking in wrestling. They'll end up turning it into a tag team affair. And Meltzer said the main said to be good with Triple H and Kane over Angle and Jericho. So again, you're losing here. Stephanie hit Kane with a chair, but he no-sold the spot, got the chair, and clocked Angle with it. This led Triple H to pinning Angle with the pedigree. I'm getting sick of saying that you're getting pinned here, Kurt.
I know.
Kurt, the next week on Raw, you cut a promo about getting Triple H in a steel cage match. Here we go. It's going to be you and Triple H in a steel cage match. Let's check out the promo.
Well, Kurt Angle with your steel cage match against Triple H tonight. All I've got to say is,
who cares what you have to say? All I gotta say is, thank God for Fan Appreciation Night. Because I am a fan. And I sure as HE double hockey sticks appreciated watching Stone Cold Steve Austin get his butt handed to him. What? And I appreciate Mr. McMahon making a steel cage match tonight against me, between me and Triple H. And Triple H, you didn't beat me last week on SmackDown. Oh no. I had you beat until that freak Kane hit me in the head with a chair. You got real lucky, Triple H. But tonight, in a steel cage, your luck is about to run out. Oh, good one, Angle. Because tonight, you're in big trouble, mister. Because while you're gonna be worrying about your WrestleMania title shot that you don't deserve, what you need to be worrying about is me. Why? Because I am more dangerous than you could possibly imagine. Think about it, Triple H. I'm a man with nothing to lose.
Yeah, you sound real scary. You're in big trouble, mister. And AG double hockey sticks. Don't hurt me, Dad.
You got to have the dork Kurt Angle.
I love it. The dork was back. Oh, man, this is so good. But what I'll tell you wasn't good is what Meltzer had to say about the actual cage match. He's quite negative regarding the booking of it. Now, I'll read through his notes here. He said, Angle beat Triple H in a cage match. Wow, Angle beat Triple H. There we go. Which was nothing more than us having to watch the head writer feed her ego. Yikes. This was annoying to watch and not in a heat way. It's hard for these two not to have a good match. And while I won't say they succeeded, they had 15 minutes and 34 seconds, and the Van Dam match was better. Triple H had it won with a pedigree when Stephanie came out, beat up Teddy Long, and then did the Terry Gordy spot on Triple H. Since they do that spot in every cage match, it means little now. Angle was about to walk out to win, but Stephanie ordered him back in the cage to put more of a hurting on Triple H because she wanted blood. Triple H obliged, cutting his forehead, and we had our third face blood of the night. That never happens on WWE anymore. Triple H made a comeback with the DDT on a chair. As Triple H was about to climb out, Stephanie came through the door like she was stone cold, hitting Triple H with a chair, and he crotched himself on the ropes. She nailed him with a second chair shot and tied him in the ropes. Do you realize how many superstars they would have had today if Triple H would have put many of them over this strongly? Stephanie then dragged Angle out the door to win. This is all from Meltzer. I mean, this win isn't really your win, is it, Kurt? This is about as strong as you can get putting someone over who's the manager in the world title match at WrestleMania. What's going on here?
What this was a program between two married people. And this program, in my opinion, should not involve the world title, especially the undisputed title. Because when you put the title in with a program like this, the title takes the back seat to the program, to the storyline. So Chris Jericho becomes a pawn. It's not about the title anymore. It's about who's going to win, Triple H or Stephanie. So Chris Jericho's not even, on one side.
That's right.
He's in the middle, and he is helping Stephanie win over Triple H. So it's basically Stephanie versus Triple H. Now, I did that program with them, with the Love Triangle, but I wasn't world champion, and it worked really well. It drew incredible ratings, and I'm sure this program also drew ratings. But you don't want to do it with the world title. It makes the world title mean less.
I couldn't agree more with you. When it's the world title, it's got to be about the world title, not all this other nonsense. And I got to ask, is this all Stephanie's creative, or do you think it's a collaboration between Stephanie, Hunter, and Vince?
I think it was a collaboration. I think it was mostly Steph and Triple H, but I think Vince was involved as well. I mean, come on. Stephanie's Vince's daughter. Obviously, he's going to be involved.
And where the hell is Kane in all this? I mean, your match is getting lost, it feels like, here.
He was on vacation. He didn't have to show up till WrestleMania.
What in God's name is happening here? Some news around this time from The Observer. Ken Shamrock was talked about with him coming in for a short-term program with Angle, which one would think would be to get Angle out of his geeky role and into a serious shooter role. It fell apart because they wouldn't give him the scheduling break they've given the NWO and have considered for Scott Steiner. He didn't want to be doing 18 matches a month. Did you hear anything about this at the time, Kurt? Is this something that you were pushing for? Do you remember this?
No, I didn't hear about it, but I would have loved to wrestle Ken Shamrock. He was my favorite wrestler when I was training to go into the WWE. I kind of tried to match what he was doing, like his style. That's who I was trying to be.
Yeah.
And, Ken Shamrock was a big inspiration for me.
Man, and we would have loved to have seen it around this time for sure as fans of Kurt Angle. There's also around this time a groundswell, and we've talked about it, that you deserve better. Your character, Kurt Angle, deserves better creatively. Are you thinking the same thing? Do you remember at this time?
Yeah. And you know what? I did finally speak up to Vince after WrestleMania, and I told him, hey, I was expecting a much bigger program this year for WrestleMania. It didn't happen. It didn't happen the year before. I said, are you going to continue to push me again and maybe give me a better program for next WrestleMania? And he did. because WrestleMania 19 the following year, I main evented WrestleMania against Brock Lesnar. So he fulfilled his promise.
Nah,
but it had to take me standing up. I had to stick up for myself.
Yeah, it seems like you were doing it all throughout the year, and then come WrestleMania time, like you said, those first 2 WrestleManias kind of didn't live up to what you were accomplishing throughout the year. Jim Ross has always said, happiness in the business comes down to 2 things, cash and creative. We've talked about the creative, but Kurt, was the cash good enough to outweigh the creative at this point?
At WrestleMania that year, WrestleMania 18, no. It was okay. I mean, the money was all right, but it didn't compare to what I did that year. And, the thing is, if you're going to trade off cash and creative, they kind of go hand in hand, because you have to be creative to come up with a more popular superstore so you can make more cash.
That's
right. Creative and cash kind of go together.
Absolutely agree. Well, here comes the WrestleMania card, and this is how it shapes out. You got Rock and Hogan. Thank God for that match at that show, because it was iconic. You got Hunter versus Jericho. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Scott Hall. You got Undertaker and Ric Flair. Are you worried where you're going to be at on the card, and what kind of crowd reaction you're even going to have at the point in which time you and Kane actually get to wrestle?
Of course I was worried. I mean, this is a big card. This was a really good card. And I just wanted to make sure I was on before all of them. and I wanted to make sure that we got our allotted time. In other words, I didn't want them to cut our time, and they actually did. And I'll talk about that later.
Okay. Let's talk about real quick, as we talked about the card. I said Rock and Hogan, Hunter and Jericho, you're familiar with, Austin, Hall, Taker, Flair. Are you excited to see any of those 4 matches, or is it just another day at the office for you?
Me personally, I wanted to see Rock and Hogan, 2 of the biggest icons in the business, facing off. The match was never supposed to happen, and here we have it. This was the match of the century.
Yeah.
And also Taker and Ric Flair, I knew it'd be a great match, and I was looking forward to that one as well.
All right. Well, we're in the St. Louis Arena as we continue the build, and we're in the home stretch for Mania, and you come out and cut a promo on Kane. And of course, we absolutely got to check that out. Let's listen to what Kurt Angle has to say.
I don't know if I can agree with that. It's going to be an interesting night. To say the least, getting that videotape from there as that meeting progresses.
JR, can you do something about these rude people here in Detroit?
I'll get right on that.
Well, stand up,
16,000 of them on their feet. You know, Kurt drives a BMW.
I would like to take this time to talk about something that you people in this city are very familiar with. Crime.
Oh, crime!
Crime?
Yeah! And no, I'm not talking about carjacking or mugging or whatever it is you idiots do here in Detroit.
You name it.
What I'm talking about is something even more important. Robbery.
Uh-oh. Robbery, JR.
Specifically, my being robbed of my WrestleMania title shot.
Someone get him a diaper.
Wait a minute.
See, 2 weeks ago on Raw, I had Chris Jericho right where I wanted him. I was about to win the WWF title for the 3rd time. When that big burnt moron Kane had to interfere and cost me my title shot.
Robbery, flat out. That's a felony, I think.
Now, Kane, who the hell do you think you are? But I guess you experienced firsthand last week on SmackDown how I treat people who cost me WrestleMania title shots.
There you go.
Yeah, that was sick and vile.
You see, Kane, you call yourself the Big Red Machine. Well, I want you to meet the Big Red, White, and Blue Machine, pal.
Man, there you go. Red, white, and blue machine. That's great.
And you think that chair shot to the head last week on SmackDown was bad? You ain't seen nothing yet, pal.
Now what's he talking about?
Because I talked to Mr. McMahon, and with his approval, at WrestleMania, I'll be facing you, Kane.
Oh, baby!
Angle and Kane at WrestleMania. WrestleMania?
Yeah.
And I'll make that whole childhood burning thing seem like a paper cut.
Paper cut. Hey, now this is getting serious, JR. Tell these criminals to shut up.
Yeah, he's a serious a-hole.
What?
According to the fans.
Now, Kane, I realize it's not your complete whole fault that I'm not wrestling for the title WrestleMania. There is another reason.
Uh-oh.
And the other reason is the utter stupidity of the WWF fans.
Oh, here we go.
What the hell is he talking about?
You people are idiots. You're dummies. Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
I can't help but crack up for that whole thing, man.
No
So
wonder
good.
fans hated me back then.
But you elicited an amazing fan reaction. You had him in the palm of your hands, from calling you assholes to Jim Ross telling you to get a diaper to everything. That was just phenomenal, man.
It was pretty cool.
And they can't figure out what to do with you at WrestleMania. I mean,
I know. What the hell?
what the hell? And yet those people, you were like leading a choir, and whatever you would say, they would react to. It was so good, man. I love it. Listen, this is also the segment, and for time I didn't play the whole thing, but Booker comes out. And he teases going face-to-face with you and you two feuding with each other. But then he double-crosses the fans, and he sides with you. Then Edge comes out and said that Booker was the dumbest man in the company and showed all his missed answers on Weakest Link. So we had that going on. And so lots of craziness going on. Booker really, he was on, and everyone ribbed him about this whole Weakest Link experience. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah, but you know what? Everybody did shitty on the Weakest Link. I made an ass out of myself. I mean, nobody did that great, to be honest with you. It was actually, Booker didn't do much worse than everybody else. Everybody did a bad job on that show.
Well, listen, you guys are going to tag team against Big Show and Edge, and you and Paul White. You guys were close, right? Did you enjoy wrestling against him?
Oh, I love Paul. He was a great guy, one of my best friends. Great athlete for his size, incredible athlete. Very light on his feet, very light worker, didn't stiff you. Awesome.
Nah, it just seems like an all-around lovable giant.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and you move on from there to SmackDown the next day in Cleveland. You're going to defeat Rob Van Dam with William Regal's help. And Kane saves Van Dam from getting beat up even more by you two. And we're just limping along to get to you and Kane to Mania, aren't we?
Yeah, we're definitely limping along. Not much there.
This is unbelievable. Did you two ever just sit down and go, is this the best we got this year?
Well, that wasn't going to happen, especially between Kane and I. Neither one of us were going to complain. So we didn't mention anything to each other, but we were thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Well, listen, this is probably the highlight that I've been looking forward to getting to the most, because we're at SmackDown and Jericho, he's wrestling Kane. He's going to beat Kane. And you have what's called, and what Meltzer's called, the worst angle slam of all time. And Kurt, we're going to play that for you. And at the conclusion of that, I went ahead and grabbed it again, and we're going to turn the volume off, and we're going to play it in slow-mo, and I'm going to let you break down exactly the execution of this, because that's what we do here on the Kurt Angle Show. If I get a chance to rib you a little bit, I'm going to do it. Here we go.
I don't believe anything Jericho and Stephanie tell anybody. And why not? Well, anyhow, Kane. And look at this. And look at Jericho in trouble. Stephanie trying to get in there. Look out from behind. Where the hell did he come from? Kurt Angle, taking Kane down. And Jericho, the lion salt. And Jericho is going to, look at this. The ref was distracted, and Jericho stole one thanks to Kurt Angle.
Here is your Chris Jericho.
And look at Stephanie. She's got her hands raised in victory as well, because she is a great asset at ringside. She's a great helper. Hey, what an unfair advantage. And Kurt Angle with a steel chair and a boot to the face. What? And Kane. Oh, what a shot. Why is Kane attacking Kurt Angle? Look at this. Well, Kurt Angle came out here, King. Kurt Angle still upset over the fact that Kane cost him the undisputed title a few weeks ago. And a spot in WrestleMania. Look how tough Kurt Angle is. But Kane has had enough of Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle is running away. Oh, wait a minute. He's not running anywhere. Kurt will hang with anybody. He's hanging with Kane. Trying to battle back, and another right hand by the Big Red Machine. Kurt Angle helped Chris Jericho win this matchup. And now look at this. This guy is such...
Go ahead, Kurt. Break it down.
Okay. Not much to break down here. The problem is Jericho was in front. So when Kane jumped up, he jumped backward instead of forward. You have to jump forward and up over my head. You don't jump backward. When you do, I can't carry you over top to flip you through for the angle slam. So I had to just fall backward. It was the worst angle slam I ever did. And there were many reasons. Jericho being in front of Kane and Kane jumping backward. It had nothing to do with me.
Oh, of course not. No, it was
my
like,
fault.
It was like, what are they doing? This is hilarious. If you guys don't have the video version of this show, you need to sign up for ad-free shows for 1 month just to check out that clip, or you can find it.
It's slam in history.
It's on the Peacock machine too. But man, that is hilarious. Do you and Kane laugh about that in the back? Did you talk about it even?
No, we didn't. I was pretty pissed off, to be honest with you.
I'm sure, knowing how you're a perfectionist.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
Well, you end up grabbing a chair to hit Kane with it, and he gets the boot up and puts it back in your face. You guys brawl to the back, as we saw there, and it goes back to Hunter and Jericho, like it always does. And that's your go-home show for WrestleMania, folks. Now, back in this time, there isn't a Hall of Fame. There's not an NXT, an Access, etc. What does your Mania weekend look like without all that at the time? Do you remember?
Oh, it was pretty peaceful. I mean, every day we would go over the match for a couple of hours. I had a couple of media interviews I had to do, and I think one autograph signing at a certain location. But for the most part, we had most of the week off. It was fun.
It's so different than what it is now.
Oh,
sure.
Now you're busy as hell from when you wake up to when you go to bed. It's ridiculous.
Well, Kurt, you get to the building, and you're told you're going on fourth after the hardcore title match between Goldust and Maven. You're really the setup match for the rest of the card. And at this point, are you happy to go on early?
Yeah, the earlier the better, especially with the card they had. I wanted to make sure we went on early before everybody else, the big matches, and that we got the allotted time that we requested.
Well, Kurt, this show draws 61,069 fans, and this is the largest crowd you've ever wrestled in front of at this point. Are nerves a thing, or you've been doing this now for a little while, so it's no big deal?
The crowd, amount of people in the crowd doesn't really matter. After you've been in a 15,000 seat arena that's sold out, after you've been in Houston, Texas at the stadium where you did 70,000 or 60,000, whatever it was, being in Seattle at Safeco Field, another 56,000, you kind of get used to it, but your adrenaline's still pumping pretty hard.
It's still WrestleMania. It's the granddaddy of them all. And so that's big enough as it is. So I get you there. Well, Kurt, we've made it. You're match 4. And I'm going to do a little bit of highlights, not the entire match here, but in our final clip of the week, it's you, it's Kane, and you come out and you have a few comments to start the match. And then we'll get to the close. We'll flow right into that. Here we go.
Rookie year became the World Wrestling Federation champion. He thought he should be in the main event tonight, and he's blaming Kane for that.
Wait a minute. Shut up, JR.
Before I get started, I just want to say one thing.
We're listening, Kurt.
If I would have won my Olympic gold medal the way this country's figure skaters won their Olympic gold medal, I'd want to shoot myself in the freaking head. Because unlike your so-called Olympic gold medalists, I didn't win my Olympic gold medal by whining and complaining until someone gave it to me.
Tell it like it is.
I won it the old-fashioned way. I earned it. Because I am the big red, white, and blue machine.
There you go.
And Kane, I hope you're listening. Because after tonight, you're going to wish you never...
Oh, no. 126 pounds. He's got that bad ankle.
Well, you're right.
And this is going to be feast or famine, one would assume.
Don't go that way, Kurt.
And Angle quickly up. Angle slamming, almost a modified suplex there.
Did you see that reaction the instant that Kurt Angle saw
Saw Kane posed on the top rope. He's springing next. Watch the speed and agility Kurt exhibits here. Look at this.
World-class athlete. He is an amazing in-ring competitor.
Now look, he's just waiting. He's lying and waiting. You got him. Another Olympics.
Hooking up. Kane countered the Olympic slam. Looking for another toe slam.
Oh, look at this.
Wait a minute. Got Kane rolled up. He's got him rolled up here.
Come on, hit him.
And look, wait a minute.
Hey, there we go.
It is the match that will go down as Kurt Angle versus Kane at WrestleMania. Thank God for Rock and Hogan that night, right, Kurt?
I know.
Listen, I'll read the recap from the Observer. Kurt Angle pinned Kane in 10 minutes, 45 seconds. Kane tried to work with Angle like a wrestler instead of a monster. Problem was, it just showed how limited Kane really is as a worker. He got a choke slam, but Angle got his hand on the ropes. Kane kicked out of the Angle slam. Long ankle lock spot, but another rope break. Finish saw Angle block a choke slam and turn it into a front roll cradle using the ropes. Finish looked real sloppy. 2.25 stars. He also called it the worst pay-per-view match you've had in years. Was it really this bad? And did you think Kane was limited as a worker, Kurt?
Well, I don't know if it was because Kane was limited as a worker. I think because we got our time cut about 3 or 4 minutes and we had to rush to the finish, and the finish wasn't that good. What the agents came up with and the whole concept of no ankle lock, no tap out, no angle slam for a finish. Let's do a quick one, a roll up and put your feet on the ropes to cheat the win. It got really complicated, and the finish didn't turn out as good as they were expecting it to look.
Well, I have a question because in the past on an adfreeshows.com Q&A, you had mentioned that Sting and Bret Hart were possibilities to wrestle you at WrestleMania 18. Sting didn't agree to come in regardless to face you, but because of the schedule, and you said you reached out to Bret to attempt to wrestle him, and he told you no. How different is your experience at Mania if one of these two things were able to happen?
I would have had an icon at WrestleMania. Sting or Bret Hart, two of the greatest of all time. Don't get me wrong, Kane's incredible too, but Bret Hart and Sting, they're huge names in the business. They're like up there with Hulk Hogan and The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. They're up there with those guys.
Yeah, and that would have accomplished one of your dream matches of all time against Bret the Hitman Hart. That would have been amazing.
That is my dream match, yes.
Yeah. Well, what about for the Rock Hogan when that happened? Did you get a chance to hear it, see it?
The match, surprisingly, I didn't know it was going to be that good. I mean, The Rock and Hogan, they meshed really well. They had great chemistry, and the spots were awesome. The match was really clean. I thought it was as good of a match as they could have.
It really was. It's the 20th anniversary, just past the 20th anniversary of this entire show, and that is truly one of the iconic matchups of all time of WrestleMania. And, it's just amazing. The show ends with Triple H winning the world title from Chris Jericho in the big babyface moment. Were you happy to see his win considering the injury he suffered?
Yeah, Triple H had a rough year. He was out for 8 months with a knee injury. He tore his quad in his leg and had to have surgery. So it was good to see him bounce back and get a big win here.
Well, you come out of WrestleMania, Kurt. It's over. Are you feeling good? Where's your head at coming out of this show?
My head is next year. I want to make sure that I have a better match next year, a better program. And I actually did. And I have to thank Vince McMahon for that.
There you go. Well, listen, we're going to go rapid fire. We do have some fan questions this week. This was a WrestleMania show, so lots of fan questions, but we'll go quickly. Stuart Walters up first. What does Kurt Angle really think of Glenn Jacobs of Kane?
Oh, I love Glenn. What a great guy. Never said a bad word about anybody. His reputation precedes him. He's just reliable, just a really good guy. Never talked badly about anybody. I absolutely love him.
All right, now good stuff. Richie's up next. Were there any plans to continue the storyline with Kane, or was this meant to be the blow-off of the feud?
What do you think? This was put together all at the last second. I don't think this was going to be a long-running program.
It
was just for one day.
That was it for that one. Francis Reyes says, how do you plan what ring gear and your thoughts of doing something special for your WrestleMania entrance? So what goes into that thought?
That's one thing I regret. I never came up with ideas of ring entrances for WrestleMania, never came up with ideas for my gear. I always let my costume people take care of my gear, and I never thought of coming up with innovative entrances. I wish I would have done that. I would have done, it would have really helped my legacy even more, and I never did that.
It's a good point, and now it's a thing. You kind of look forward to seeing WrestleMania, what people's gear and their entrance.
Yeah.
Rory Melberg's up next. He said, with your feud with Kane revolving around head trauma, do you think that kind of storyline would fly today in wrestling?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't even fake it. That's something that everybody is taking seriously right now. Head trauma is a serious issue in athletics and in professional wrestling. And you can't joke around about that stuff anymore.
Jeremy's up next. He said, who came up with the match-specific moniker, the big red, white, and blue machine? It always struck me as an underrated line and one of my favorite parts of the Kane versus Angle, or as he called it, a Kangle. That's hilarious. So who came up with it, the big red, white, and blue machine?
My writer, Brian Gowards. He comes up with all my stuff. But, I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't think it was that great. But, the big red machine, and I'm the big red, white, blue machine, that, it's passable.
I like it too. It was good. It was something fresh. It was different. A couple more questions from our ad-free shows, folks, Kurt. Adfreeshows.com /Slapnut Lee Dyer asks, if you could have chose a member of the NWO to wrestle instead of Kane at WrestleMania 18, who would have been and why? Thanks.
Oh, that's tough. I mean, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash and Hulk Hogan, but I have to say Hulk Hogan. I was, as a kid, knowing who he was and the legend he is and household name, he was a huge celebrity, and he did a lot for professional wrestling, and you want to be in the ring with somebody like him.
Yeah, absolutely. The next question comes to us from adfreeshows.com /Slapnut Nick Pomeroy, and he helps you out here a little bit. He says, what WrestleMania site was your favorite from 2000 to 2006 to perform at? And he gives a list. You had Anaheim's Arrowhead Pond, Houston's Astrodome, the Toronto Skydome, Seattle's Safeco Field, New York's Madison Square Garden, the Staples Center in Los Angeles, and then Chicago's Rosemont Horizon.
It's tough. I mean, Madison Square Garden is always my favorite to compete and perform in. But I did like Safeco Field in Seattle, especially me main eventing WrestleMania 19 there. That's the most special WrestleMania for me.
There you go. Adfreeshows.com top guy Bryant Haremza says, you had mentioned on past episodes that you had not been informed of your Mania matches till right before the show early on in your career. Did you ever find it discouraging to not have a good program going into WrestleMania or to have your matches made such last minute?
Yeah, it was discouraging. That's not the thing you want to have happen. You want to have a program coming from the Royal Rumble going all the way to WrestleMania. That's the type of program you want, and that's the type of program that most of the main eventers deserve. It's just that, you get overlooked every once in a while, and sometimes they don't have enough space to book you at WrestleMania, especially for the big storyline feature matches. So I was pretty upset about that.
Got a couple of Hulk Hogan questions here, Kurt. Top guy Lenny Bakken says, Kurt's memories of meeting Hulk Hogan for the very first time.
Hogan was, this wasn't the first time I met him. This was the second time I met him. And we became really good friends after this, which is crazy. But I remember we were having a 6-man tag at Madison Square Garden. It was the second time I met Hogan. And I was in there. We were in there all day. We're doing a house show. We have a 6-man tag match. It's main eventing in Madison Square Garden. And Hulk Hogan doesn't come until 7 at night. Okay, the show's starting at 7:30. Hulk Hogan comes in. We're sitting there going over the match. He walks up and says, what are we doing tonight? And I looked at him and I said, you know what you're doing? you're doing this, this, and this. I told him what he was doing. I didn't give him a choice. And because he wasn't there all day, he didn't put the match together. And I was like, this guy, he thinks he can come in. And it wasn't even that he was being an asshole. He was late because he had an obligation. I didn't know this. But so I'm ripping on him and I'm telling him, you're not doing anything. You're going to do what I tell you to do, because we have the 6-man match and we have all the spots to back where we need them. And this is your area where you can shine. Do whatever you want in this area. And that's it. And that's what I said to him. And he was like, wow, this kid's an asshole. And eventually I became good friends with him. But he came across to me coming in late at 7 at night when you're supposed to be there 1 in the afternoon. And it was like, hey, what are we going to do tonight? I have some ideas. And I was like, no, you don't have ideas. We already put them together. You're going to do what I tell you to do. I didn't know. You have to understand, I didn't watch professional wrestling when I was younger. I didn't know the respect you had to give the wrestlers, especially someone like Hulk Hogan, such a legend and icon. And here I am, I'm disrespecting him because I thought he was disrespecting the business. And I didn't know any better at that particular time, but I did smarten up eventually.
And if you know anything about Kurt, which I've learned about you, you are very regimented, scheduled, and even with us recording shows and things like that.
OCD,
notes,
brother.
Everything is regimented, and I love it. I love it because I like to plan. And so I totally get where Hogan walking in, buddy, we already planned it out. This is your spot, and this is what you got to do. And Hogan probably looked at you like, listen.
We're on in a half hour, and you want to know what you want to do.
Yeah, listen, shithead, I don't know who you think you are, brother. I'm Hulk Hogan. That's funny. Adfreeshows.com enhancement talent Matt Godfrey says, hey, Kurt, were you starstruck when you met Hulk Hogan? Sound like maybe the first time you were,
yes,
second time you were.
No, I was starstruck. I Hulk Hogan, knowing him, knowing that when my football team would come out in high school on Friday night to play football, and we were the championship team in Western Pennsylvania, and everybody's doing this Hulkamania, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And I find out, he's a wrestler, he's a professional wrestler, because as an amateur wrestler, I was told never to watch pro wrestling. I told you this before. And so I didn't really know any of the professional wrestlers, but here I am, I'm imitating Hulk Hogan, and I don't know who he is. So I found out who he was, and he was a huge icon in the business. And, eventually I got to meet him. And like I told you before, my friends went freaking crazy when I wrestled Hulk Hogan. I actually beat him. I made him tap out. They were like, holy shit, Kurt, you just made Hulk Hogan tap out. Do you know how incredible that is? And I was like, well, it's a work.
It's wrestling.
It's not real.
Yeah. That's what they told us to do. Okay. That's funny. Adfreeshows.com enhancement talent Brandon Arthur asks, how do you think it would have worked if you were facing Undertaker or Ric Flair at this Mania?
Well, it all depends on what kind of substance they put behind it. But with Flair and Undertaker, you're guaranteed you're going to get a good program. They're going to work that from the Royal Rumble all the way to Mania. The problem with Kane and I, we were so damn nice, we wouldn't argue or complain or stand up for ourselves. So they were like, oh, fuck that. We'll just book them last second. So,
yeah,
it is what it is. And you have to demand respect to get it.
And as you've told us today, with good program comes good cash. So that is unfortunate.
Creative and the cash go together.
Is that a regret, Kurt? You never got to work Taker at Mania. Would this have been the perfect opportunity?
Yes, but I do believe it was a little bit too early in my career. I really got my juices flowing in 2003, 4, and 5. I would have much rather wrestled Undertaker at that particular time. But I would have taken him at any WrestleMania. It would have been awesome. But I got better and better. And by 2006, when I wrestled him at No Way Out, that was one of my best matches of my entire career. And I really wish that would have been a WrestleMania match. And I know Undertaker wishes it was as well.
There you go. Our final question, and this is a fun question. It comes to us from adfreeshows.com enhancement talent Jeremy Samuels, who's obviously from Canada, and you'll understand why. Did you stay at the Sky Dome Hotel? Did you go out anywhere in Toronto, Hard Rock, or the CN Tower?
I did go to the CN Tower. Very cool. Up high, overlooks the city. The city's beautiful, and the restaurants there are incredible. I had a really great time in Toronto. I love that city.
I feel strongly that saving money is important. If it's not something we worry about now, boy, we are really going to worry about it later. and I want to help you get out of debt faster and do it with cheaper monthly payments. I'm talking to you if you're in a 30-year loan. Now is the time to take years off of your loan. We're routinely helping our listeners cut 5, 10, even 15 years off their loan, and you can do this without perfect credit with no money out of pocket. You've just got to start at savewithconrad.com.
It is. It's a beautiful city. I've been able to be there as well, and you should be proud, Jeremy. Toronto is just an amazing place. If you haven't been there, go there. Check it out.
It's worth a visit.
It is, absolutely. Well, Kurt, next week we'll be joined by another special guest. Yes, the hits keep on coming here on the Kurt Angle Show. This person is a current world champion. And then in 2 weeks, we'll be discussing your WrestleMania 33 experience and then the build for the match at WrestleMania 34 when you teamed with this year's WrestleMania headliner, Ronda Rousey, against Triple H and Stephanie. So we got a couple big weeks coming up here on the Kurt Angle Show.
Yes, we do.
I'm excited about it, man. But before we get out of here today, you know what we likes to do at the end of the Kurt Angle Show, and it all starts with those chicken snacks, my friend.
We got chicken snacks and Snack Smart Crispy Protein Bites. One's chicken breast protein and one's organic plant protein. They're very high protein, low carbohydrate. You can get them at physicallyfit.com. If you use the code AnglePod, you get 20% off your first order. You can also go on the website on physicallyfit.com and become a lifetime member and get 20% off for the rest of your life.
Man,
these are incredible. 11 different flavors. You absolutely love them.
It's too good to be true, and they're amazing. They taste great. They're healthy. It doesn't get much better than that. And if it does get better than that, it's only because you went to KurtAngleBrand.com, right, Kurt?
Yes, we have T-shirts, cowboy hats, milk cartons, birthday cards,
autograph collectibles,
messages. You go on the website there, KurtAngleBrand.com, get your request, and I'll be sending it on. It'll be sent on its way to you in a matter of days.
It also directly links to Kurt's Pro Wrestling Tee store. And I'm telling you, there are some awesome T-shirts over there as well. So you can go check it out, his website, KurtAngleBrand.com, and go to that shop link, and you're going to find all kinds of fun stuff. We've talked about the cameos and all that good stuff, but support him. Support our man, Kurt Angle, and you can find it all there. Also, you want to check out WildcatBelts.com. Kurt is holding it up right now for those watching on video to get that beautiful Kurt Angle American Hero Championship belt. 3 autographs included, including on the leather, on the display stand, and on the certificate of authenticity. Andrew and his team. By the way, Andrew sent a T-shirt over. I'm going to start sporting that here on the video version of the show. Support Wildcat Belts. They do amazing work, man.
They do. This belt is the same belt that they use in WWE and AEW. And
the quality.
The quality is incredible. Quality leather, 24 karat gold plating, just incredible design.
It is, and with that, make sure you check us out, adfreeshows.com. That's where you get everything on video. You can see Kurt Angle as he falls over with Kane in slow motion on these shows, and all kinds of bonus shows and activity there. You also get to have live interaction with all the other members of the Ad Free Shows community and be a part of the bonus shows, and Conrad's putting together a lot of great content over at adfreeshows.com. So check it out. You get it early and you get it ad free. And Kurt, I'm excited again about our guests next week, but we're out of time today. I thank you for your time and taking us down memory lane to WrestleMania 18, the story, the build, and the finale. Kurt, have a great day. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Paul. I appreciate it.
For the Kurt Angle Show, he's Kurt Angle, and I'm Paul Bromwell. We'll see you again next week right here on the Kurt Angle Show.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.